Okay, so we are live. I hope all the technique is working. People, if you can hear us, I would love for you just to add some comment, then we can see you, we can say hello. So today I have Sheila and Kay, or She and Kay, with me, and it's really a pleasure to have both of you in this talk, Freedom Catcher Talk. I have met both of you in February in London. So I have been waiting 5 months to ask you all the questions that I have to ask you. Before I start to ask questions, and so I would love for you to introduce yourself the way you would like to do it. You do so many things. So I would love to see how you want to introduce yourself.
Well, thank you so much for having us. It's great to have met you in London and to be together with you here virtually. We are sisters, Kay and Shi. We are entrepreneurs. We are multi-passionate human beings. And we know a lot of you out there can resonate with that same desire to do different things, to have impact in various ways. And so we get the privilege of doing that in multiple realms. We own a restaurant business that our family took over when Kay was 10 and I was 17. And for 22 years, we've helped grow that from one failing restaurant to the 10 thriving locations it's at now across multiple states here in the US. We're also university educators. Kay just got her, she's working on a private pilot license right now. We are interested, we're parents, we're moms, and then probably our most heart-centered favorite thing that we get to do besides being parents is the Neuro and Coding Institute alongside the neuropsychologist Joseph McClendon III.
So many things you are doing, and I would like to start with one question that really, so I help mostly women to change career, right? So to really like go and do what they feel, what is their purpose and feel fulfillment, and to have it all, whatever is all. And we are mom, we are sister, we are daughter, we are partner, and so on. So what you do, all the things that you do, demand a lot of energy. How do you do to have all this energy?
Oh, I love this question. Well, first off, hey, ladies.
Hello, ladies.
Sisters, mothers, daughters. For those of you who are out there doing your best to combine your life's purpose with a way that you can make an economic impact and an income, that is what it's all about, right? Doing your absolute best to be happy in how you spend your time and to be thriving as you do it. And so good on you. This is not an easy path, and it's not for the weak, right? So energy, how do we maintain energy? Now, there's lots of ways. The first one that Sheila and I are big fans of, and you can actually see us both doing a lot of it, is we smile a lot. We use our bodies a lot. We do our best to, I want to say, neurohack our brains to produce really great chemicals for us to hang out in so that we have the energy to take on the things that we want. We're both regular in our exercise. We both do our best to drink our water. We both use positive words to ourselves. And so as much as they want to say, oh, there's some really cool secret hack, this long-term energetic management through your own just self-care, self-talk, and the love that you carry for yourself and others is really what will long-term be able to help you sustain that energy, because we fought for enough energy to keep it all going before, and we found ourselves burnt out.
Mm-hmm. So it's really not like one trick, but it's really more like a lifestyle and a decision to say, okay, I want to do all these things, so I need energy, and for that I need to include that in my life and to take care of it, because it's not going to come from like alone.
Yeah, I think in addition to that, I mean, a couple of different things. One, we never want anyone to have the impression that we do it all alone. Like, we definitely do not. We have fantastic support systems, life partners, an amazing assistant, incredible employees through our different companies that help do all of the things. So we absolutely have a lot of support built around us in our lives that helps us accomplish a lot. The other thing about support being built in your life is the bigger your dreams, the more you have to build that into your life. life. The more you want to accomplish and the more you want to do, the more you have to be disciplined and structured about how you spend your time. And that's just the brass tacks of it. If you want to be loving and hippie and running through the fields and enjoying the nature and being present in the moment, that's not always congruent with building a 7-figure business on top of a thriving other business, on type of another initiative, on top of a nonprofit. Those aren't congruent. And so finding what that balance is for you so that you can build the structure that you won't go crazy in, but that allows you to get the results that you're looking for or accomplish what you want to accomplish, do what you want to do, be who you want to be. There's that structure in place and that dedication and understanding. If this is what I want, this is the structure, this is the path, and the bigger the dream, the longer it takes, right? So having some of that understanding there. I think too, as time gets older, realizing, especially for us women, that it's about saying no, right? It's not about saying yes to everything. There's a lot about saying no. And rather than saying no, it's about saying, what are you committed to? And making everything else the enemy of that commitment, right? If it's something's not congruent with what you're going for, then you're saying no to that. You're setting your boundary and you're staying committed and on task, locked into where you want to go. So there's a lot of factors at play, and it's not always easy to juggle them all. That's for sure.
Yes, I would like just to say to the people watching this right now, so you can ask your questions, right? So directly, so I am not the only one asking questions here. And if you look at the recording, you can ask your question below as well. One question that I have is that I see that with my clients is that like they have a great job, regular job and family and so on. And they understand that they are already well structured. They understand, however, that in order to shift, so they have to allow themselves to dream big. But it's not always easy because we have like this academical format, so where we are used to say, I'm going to be an employee, I am going to do that and that and that. How can you help people to accept to dream, or to accept to find what is their purpose, what is the meaning of their life, or in which direction they should go? Because usually they are kind of lost, overwhelmed with all the tasks to do. How can you find clarity?
Man, I wish that I had a magic, I know both of us wish we had a magic button to anytime that we needed clarity, where we could just like, boop, we need clarity, please. We've actually been discussing this topic a lot between the two of us recently, because clarity is one of those things that allows you the ability to smoothly move forward. And so Shai came up with a phrase that we all love, and that is an incredible one that we've actually built a lot into our businesses and into our practices. And the phrase is to assassinate complexity. And so a lot of times what we do is we will try to think ourselves into a solution, right? We're like, well, I'm at my job that I'm at right now, but I want to be this entrepreneur. And so I'm going to think about it. I'm thinking and I've got this that I got, and I have this that I want. It's assassinate the complexity. Ask yourself the question, what is it that you want? I want to provide a nice life for myself while I build my dreams. Okay, then stay planted. What do you want? Maybe you say, oh, I want to cut off all my ties and do something drastic and brand new. Great, then take that direction. But assassinating complexity is an interesting thing to kind of grapple with, because you have to be active about simplifying both your thought processes and the processes of your life, or else they kind of can take this control, and it can be one of your biggest, I would say, enemies of clarity that doesn't allow you to move forward to find your purpose, because you're so mired down in what my purpose should be or what it needs to be, or maybe the emotional factor to it. And so I guess my best advice is actually Shiloh's advice to assassinate complexity.
I'll share another one as well. And assassinate complexity is such a helpful one. As Kay mentioned, this is a topic we've been talking about. So actually, if you're watching and you have a tip, put it in the comments. We want to see. Arcia, Andrea, we see you both here. Like, how do you help people figure out purpose, or how have you figured out purpose? Now, one thing we can tell you that we've learned from Dr. Joseph McClendon III, the world-renowned neuropsychologist, is that oftentimes we get ourselves into trouble because we're asking ourselves why questions. And Dr. McClendon will say, why is an endless loop question? And it just invites you to keep looping back, because there's not definitive answers, and it invites your brain, which is a question and answer machine, literally. That's how your brain works. Like computers speaks in zeros and ones, your brain speaks in Q's and A's. Even when you're not phrasing things in Q's and A's, it's still how your brain is functioning. So asking yourself why was I born? Why am I alive? Why am I here? Those leave you a lot of room to answer, to wonder, to quandary. So shift from why to what. Shift any kind of why questioning into what questioning. This has been something that we found has helped, that neuropsychology shows helps, because what is a more constructive question? In fact, you heard Kay use it in her example. What do I really want? What do I like to do? What can I accomplish? What am I set up well to do? What do I already have expertise in? These are all questions that give you better answers than why was I born, right? That's an endless loop question that's going to give you endless loop answers. So switch from asking why to asking what questions, and that can help you find better purpose and clarity, at least on your next steps, and get you moving.
I love that, because indeed it's something that I took with me, and I was using it the last 5 months, like for myself for sure, and as well for my clients and the people around me. And indeed, so the why question are more like victim question, and why is it so difficult for me, and why, and so on. So it's low energy question kind of, and the what or how. So how can I have it better, or what can I do in order to? So it gives us like the energy to find solution, and our brain works differently. So I really feel that with my own brain, but as well with the people around me. It's like, you're right. So right, even for teams. So one client told me like this week she used that for a team, because team building, and the team was more looking in the past, like, but we did that already and it's not working. Why is not working? And then she suggests to do that, and then the team saw different path. So definitely, what I like is what you say. Like it's important to try to kill complexity, and I agree. Our world is even more connected and complex, and moving fast, and not stable at all. So how do you see people all over the world, right? So what do you feel that people need most right now in order to film this calmness, and maybe indeed like this clarity, and to be able to simplify things? So what do you think is the best ingredient, or the best things to do?
Qiao, you take it away. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I would say first, figure out what the daily habits are. As we talked about those personal structures, what are your daily habits that matter the most to you? And a lot of them have to do with your physical body, right? If you're physically healthy, you can do so much more. You can channel so much more energy. You can hold so much more. Your capacity for emotional situations, for physical situations, for work situations is much, much bigger. So focusing on those really healthy things, like, are you drinking enough water? Are you getting enough sleep? Are you eating whole foods, right? Like those 3 things right there can do a world of difference for most people. The next thing that I would say is once you're getting in those structured routines, for the modern day human, the best thing you can do is get the heck away from your phone, or put some boundaries on your phone for yourself. It is an addiction machine. You are the user of it. It is like, understand that there's only 2 industries in the world that call their customers users: the drug industry and the social media industry. And so it is a tool. It is incredible connection. It is something that we should all embrace and use it for what it's for, but understand the influence it can have on you, the way it can creep into your life, the way it can eat up your time, and the way it can make you feel bad about you, right? Because Christelle, you were asking, how do I protect the calmness? The more you scroll, the more you look, the more you see other people, other stories, other successes, the less you feel, the more you're putting inside of your own psyche. And then you go, I have no capacity. I have no energy. Like, of course you don't. It's all seeped in. And so this is one of those things that for us modern day humans, this is probably the biggest thing that can have the largest shift in your life. If you can put some of that structure and discipline around how you use your phone and social media platforms and how often you're spending on them. Kay, what do you want to add to that?
That's a great answer. Take care of your body, take care of your mind. And those are really where your 2 kind of things come into play. Take care of your physical environment. And once those 3 things are in alignment, you've got the groundwork to do something really solid. But if you're trying to build dreams from an unhealthy space, or trying to build dreams from an unhealthy relationship, or trying to build dreams from an unhealthy body, or trying to build dreams from an unhealthy location in the world for you, then you need to make that change so that you can build your dreams from that place. If you want calmness, those other things have to be taken care of before you can really launch and fly. Now, I'm not meaning to say that you have to be 100% great at your health and have a very clean house and have, eat nothing but vegetables for the last 2 weeks in order to qualify for dream building. That is not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that you're actively paying attention to, how do I feel physically? How does my physical environment feel around me? How do the people that I'm around impact my life? How does the input on my mind from my phone, how does this affect my brain? How does this affect how I see the world and those around me? And just really taking stock of what feeds you versus what you are feeding. This gives you that solid foundation for building a life that's worth living.
Yeah, what feeds you instead of feeding things. I like to suggest my client to do like activity tracking during like 2 weeks in order for them to better understand what's going on in their life, and as well with the emotional and like the energy, if the activity takes energy or gives energy, just for them to have like a check and to be more aware of what's going on right now in my life. Another question is all about, and I see that with my clients again, so they are women having a nice position in their company and willing to achieve more, to do eventually something different. But one of the fear or one of the problem is visibility. Visibility in the company, because sometimes they are in a male dominated environment. It's not always easy to be seen, or to be seen the way authentically, like not trying to do exactly like others, but to have like this just authentic visibility. What kind of advice can you give there? How can we help women to be more seen for what they do, who they are?
Yeah, well, I have the honor and privilege of teaching sociology at the University of Nevada, Reno. So I can tell you that there's several factors at play. There's micro and macro. So ladies, first of all, I am going to tell you to take some responsibility for yourself, and I'm going to tell you how to do that in a second. But first, I'm going to tell you that it's not all your fault. Like that we live in a macro environment in a society that's been built by men. We'll call it a patriarchy, and that's not about bashing men or having anything to do with that. It's just talking about our history. All of that to say what that means is, our current environment now encourages men to talk about their accomplishments, to feel secure in the workplace, to go for promotions, to ask for raises when they're not qualified, to feel like they belong. And the environment for women has not been nurtured to that place yet at the same. So women feel out of place. They feel like they're not, if men are the default, then I'm the extra. They have not been encouraged to speak about themselves. And so there's this macro environment where women find themselves in a workplace that is not necessarily built for the natural women's expression that we're used to, on top of all that societal programming that we have that says, be grateful for what you've got, just keep your nose down and work hard, don't toot your own horn. There's all of those programs that women are playing inside. Now, on the personal side of responsibility, ladies, we got to step up. We have to ask for the promotion. We have to ask for the raise. We have to not be scared to market what our abilities are, what our achievements are, what our accomplishments are, and to speak up about our opinions and what's happening. And not, as you said, in kind of that braggy, boasty way, but in that confident way, in that assertive way, in that direct way, which actually men in workplaces that are designed by men will respond better to. Now, sometimes the scariest part is getting yourself to do it. Oh my God, they said I would get a raise when I finished the training, and I finished the training and I haven't gotten the raise. And if I bring it forward, they're going to feel, stop that noise. You are a worthy person who has a lot of value, and the worst they can say is no. The answer is always no, unless you ask. And that was a lesson that our mom taught us. You've got some macro factors at play that aren't your fault. You have some responsibility that you can take on your own that allows you to be confident, to step forward, to ask for the raise, to ask for the promotion, to speak up on your ideas. And each time a woman does that, You make it easier for the ladies behind you to do it more. So be the pioneer, help others, and help us create that space where now it's normal for women to be on track at the same level as men.
Yeah, come on. Girls is players too. I love it. Yes. So I think there's so much here that we can dig into, but I want to just add a little bit more because there is that societal context. There is this kind of science to back it up. Yes, let's be courageous in what it is that we ask for in the workplace. The other thing that I'd like to encourage is to do your best to not try and act like the men in your workplace. This is, I think, something that many of us will try to do. And Christelle, you talked a little bit about this before, right? We try to put on a role or try to act like the boys in order to fit in or act like an ideal of an executive that we have. But honestly, if you can do your best to embody exactly who you are, whatever spectrum or whatever scale of the femininity that you bring forward, whatever scale of the professionalism that you bring forward, as long as you're creating excellent results within your workplace, I believe that it's Steve Martin who says, right, you've got to be so undeniable that they can't ignore you. You're so undeniably good that they can't ignore you. And you can do that from a space of being wholehearted, of being true to yourself, and being brave and courageous and asking for the things that you want.
Yes, thank you very much. I agree. Like everything you said. So first of all, so maybe the environment is not necessarily perfect yet because it have been created this way, but now it's our responsibility as well to act the right way so that we can change it. And I love the idea. And really for me, it's something that helps me is to think like, if I do this step, it's not only for me, but for all the sister or the other lady coming with me after that. So I'm going to kind of open the door a little bit more. And I really like it. It gives me power. Like I am not alone. So I'm not doing that only for me. Or even if the contrary is true as well. So I have sometimes clients saying, yeah, I know I'm less paid. That's my colleague. And it's okay. And I like, no, it's not okay. It's not okay because it's not okay for you, but it's not okay for the other ladies, women coming after you as well. So just go, even if you don't need the money or whatever, but just do it for the cause or for the other ladies that are going to need the money. And it's just not okay. It's not fair. So Rahaf, if you want, you can ask question. You ask question. I can see that. How do you determine when to invest in admins delegations when you are just starting your business?
What to do by yourself and what to delegate and invest with outside help when it's affordable, Rahaf. It's never going to feel affordable. And you are going to wish you did it sooner the second you get somebody. So like scrape together whatever small budget you can find and find your virtual assistant, find your college person, find a babysitter who's willing to trade time. Like find someone and do it as fast as you can that you can start team building with. Like I said, even if it's a virtual assistant, this is one of those things that like everyone waits to get their admin and build their team. And it is just, you make it so much more painful on yourself. I know that the money feels like the biggest challenge. Every time we've been up against this money, we need to expand the team. We need a leader. We need an admin. We need an executive. We hurt when we wait. And we've waited for years for some of these things because we can't afford it. And then sometimes the reality forces you and you have to afford it. And all of a sudden you figure it out and your life is so much better. So I would say if you have no cash ringing in your register right now and you are at negative, like do what it takes to get yourself to the place where you can at least start outsourcing a little bit and outsource the things that take you the longest and that drain your energy the most, and then keep expanding that. But I would spend more money on an admin than on a bigger house or a fancier car every day of the week. It makes your life better. It makes your time better. It makes your freedom better. Like this is a big one, a small hinge that will swing a very large door for you.
Well, she's not just talking about that from a philosophical standpoint. That's literally our practicality. We spend our money on having a thicker team in order to be able to enjoy our lives and enjoy the businesses that we have and that we love. And so as soon as you can to get your administrator in, I think is great, even if it's just a couple hours a week, even if it's figuring out an AI assistant that can work on some back office things for you. Whatever your flavor is of delegating the tasks that drain your energy, get to it as quickly as you can.
Okay, I hope we answer the questions. You have several business, and with all your business, so you have this big growth, and there are different business, right? It's not in the same field. So how did you do that? So to grow, so for the restaurant or for your own business, you have in contact with so amazing people. So what is the mindset, or what are the things that you have done that to grow so quickly? I find it's quick. I don't know, maybe you don't have the same feeling at all, but
well, we're definitely younger for how much that we've been able to do. And a lot of that is, in gratitude to the fact that our parents risked it all to make us a small business family. Like I said, when Kay was 10 and I was 17. So we've had that very helpful advantage of getting to start very young in the trenches. Now, here's what I can tell you is that anybody who's a parent out there can relate to the fact that raising a child is hard. A baby is all consuming. And if for those of you who aren't parents, you already know that intrinsically because you're a human being, right? Like babies are hard. Businesses are babies. And so what many people do is they get their first baby and then baby turns into toddler and it's still a lot of work, but they miss the baby phase and they're ready for another baby. And the more babies you add, the harder your parenting job is. The more businesses you add when your kids are young, the harder your businesses are going to be, right? Because when you're raising your business, it's your baby, but it's your business. You get it to that toddler phase and it feels like, okay, it's walking on its own, like it's doing okay. Like I'm ready for a new thing and I'm excited for a new thing. And so we go start a new thing, but the toddler still needs potty training. The toddler still needs feeding every 3 hours. The toddler still needs you. And now you're pregnant and tired and doing the toddler thing. Like parents, you know what we're talking about here, right? So many of us who are multi-passionate entrepreneurs have our first business, and then we get excited about the new business. We get excited about a new initiative. And if we're not well established in our first one, you're signing up for a pretty steep hill. Doesn't mean it's not achievable, but it is very steep. I think the thing that we have been lucky enough to be most successful in is that we worked for basically 12 to 15 years only on the restaurants. And then we opened a marketing agency that has now led us down this path where we get to do the Neuroencoding Institute as well. And now in the last few years, we've added our other periphery things and our university jobs and things. So don't go too fast. Stay dedicated with what you're doing and make sure that your businesses are far enough along and supported enough with admin that when you go to have a new one or start a new initiative, that you don't end up sinking all your ships.
Love that. Very practical, very structural advice, Shai. I want to just add in a little bit of, I guess I'll say the little heart-centered advice on the back end of it, to be daring enough to have the dream to do the business. Now, a lot of people will say, well, I want to start a little something and I'll have a coaching thing and then I'll try it and I'll dip a toe in the water and then I won't really move forward. And then I'm scared. And so I move back into what I'm doing and I still hate my life. Right. And I think, part of our success has been, like Shyla said, our mom, it took over business when we were very young. She also poured into us in personal growth and development, and I think Shai, of one of the first books you ever read, The Magic of Thinking Big, and to see how that continues to play out through our lives, right? We dare to sometimes put huge numbers on the mark and then totally fail at them. And that's okay. Sometimes we try something different and totally suck at it, and that's also okay. But we've had to be willing to, as Brene Brown says, to dare greatly and to keep moving forward just one step at a time, right? That Shyla and I are both half marathon runners. We can tell you from lived experience that sometimes it hurts really bad, but if you just keep moving 1 foot at a time, you will cross the finish line. And so be willing to dream big, be willing to work hard, and just don't give up, and you'll get there. And those things seem really simple, but if you do it within the context of some of the structures Shai brought forward, it's a winning combination for sure.
I like that. Some people I see, so they started their own business, something they like, but then because they have the freedom of their own business, so they have, like, after 6 months they would like to do something different, or they are more or less changing their niche, or they don't want to niche because they are afraid to be like narrowed down to only one thing to do, and they are afraid to lose the passion, they are afraid to lose kind of the freedom that they get as they started the new business. And I can see that so often. And I can remember one entrepreneur, she told me, well, when you start your business, so success is kind of boring because you really have to do and redo and redo and redo sometimes the same things until it really works, and then you can continue to develop something else. But it has like this discipline and this do the same every day until at some point it works, and indeed it's strong enough that you can go do something else, but try to stay focused and simplify things. But it's really what I can feel and I can see with all the new entrepreneurs around me, like, yeah, having this freedom and having like this, I should be passionate and I'm so creative, so I want to do that and that and that and that at the same time, or just like 3 months and 3 months and 3 months. So, but it's different, right? So you have to be disciplined and to go for one business to a while, and then maybe move it a bit or change it or do something new.
If I can start us out here, Shai, on the niche question, I have a fun analogy that's popping for me, so I just want to bring it forward for you all because I think this might be helpful. Now, if you've ever learned how to cook, and have you ever learned how to cook? That's a question for you. I'm imagining that you have, especially if we've got ladies here. It's something that we're taught at a very young age. When you very first learn how to cook, you don't get into the kitchen and your mom or your grandma or your auntie, whoever's working with you, does not say, let's cook an entire menu right now, right? How do you get taught how to cook? You get brought into the kitchen and you work on one item. Hey, let's show you how to cook spaghetti tonight. We're going to work on that. We're doing a spaghetti and salad dinner. So now we're going to make spaghetti and then we're going to do the salad and we're going to chop it together, and you learn how to chop the veggies and you learn how to do the sauce and you learn what all the ingredients are, and great. Now you've done that the one time, but you got taught how to do it. So if you come back again to make the spaghetti, you're probably going to make it okay, but you're not going to make it amazing. And then you're going to come back the next week and you're going to make the spaghetti again until you've made that spaghetti so many freaking times. You're like, I have the best spaghetti in the freaking world. You will not even believe my spaghetti. It is so incredible. My spaghetti and my salad mix is so good because now I've made it so many times. Now, if you ask spaghetti making maven, who's made nothing but spaghetti for her entire life, to go out and bake you a cake, it's probably not going to be the most delicious cake in the world. But here's the thing. We want to serve great food, right? So we learn how to make the spaghetti. We learn how to make it really well. Then we can say, okay, well, let me learn how to make a dessert onto this. And now we learn how to make our dessert really well. Okay, now I want to learn how to make a completely different dish. And now we're going to get into that. But if I get into the kitchen, I try to make the whole menu at once, I'm never going to specialize or be good at anything. So Shai, thanks for letting me take it away here on a food analogy. Of course, it's a food analogy from the Restaurant Sisters.
Well, let me keep it with the food analogy here, because, what was popping for me was thinking about the restaurants and the restaurant business. And many of you, if you're watching this and you think about a restaurant business, and just put yourself in the place of like, I'm going to open a restaurant, right? And like, oh, is it a breakfast restaurant? Is it a dinner restaurant? Is it a tapas place? Like, you're going to open a restaurant and you're going to imagine it like this is the business that you chose. Like, if you said, I'm going to open a restaurant, there's so much of that process that you already know is in front of it. There, you need a business plan. To open a restaurant's probably $250,000 to $750,000 here in the US, right? $1 million is even rounded up, right? If you're opening in a new market, you're going to need some cushion months, like $1 million to open a restaurant. Business plan is going to take 9 months. There's going to be construction. There's going to be permits. There's going to be alcohol license. There's going to be forms. There's going to be hiring. Like, there's all this process. Now, when most people go to open a business like coaching, consulting, speaking, Etsy, something that's their own entrepreneurial pursuit, it's like they forget that there's this whole business process, and they're offended that there's investment required. They're upset that there's a timeline. They're annoyed that there's hoops to go through, that they have to build presence, right? These are all part of that process. But when we become the business, that becomes very difficult for most people to manage that I'm selling myself and it's my worth and I'm my boss, which means I'm holding myself accountable. I have to be the one to show up. I have to say, what's my business plan? What's my financial house look like? What is the runway, right? Like and so most people get excited about the dream of their restaurant.
Exactly.
And then they don't actually follow the process of what that takes, and they get frustrated along the way. So I think you hit it right on the head there, Christelle, talking about it's those daily disciplines inside your business, right? Inside your life and inside your business. But inside your business, John Maxwell, we had the honor of working with the leadership expert and author, John Maxwell. And when asked, look, what's the number one thing? He says, if I could boil it all down to just 2 words of my whole life, what have I learned that's most impactful? It's consistency compounds. Consistency compounds. What that means is what you do consistently will grow in size over time. So what are those consistent actions inside of a business? Posting, reaching out to potential clients, going to networking events, staying up on your certifications. What are those consistent actions you need to take so that you can compound the results that you're imagining when you imagine that restaurant business open? So I think we need the process, we need the mindset, we need the discipline to stay in the kitchen and cook the same thing over and over again so that we can actually become really good at what it is that we want to do.
Yeah, perfect. I love it. Yes, consistency. So it's something different than, so many people saw that like freedom and fun and so on, but consistency come in first place. But I think that's why, so we need like this passion or this vision, and that helps to stay consistent. And if we don't have this vision and this passion, it's more difficult to stay consistent because it's a lot of effort and discipline and so on. You spoke about leadership. I would love to have your definition of leadership, because I do some leadership talk or workshop, and the first question that usually we have is like, well, it depends what you mean with leadership. So what is the meaning of leadership for you?
I think the leadership definition that Shyla and I both subscribe to and love is that of our mentor and friend, Dr. John Maxwell. And John Maxwell says that leadership is influence. Nothing more, nothing less. Like, let's assassinate the complexity. Leadership is influence. If you are influencing someone else, you are leading them. If you're influencing your kid to put on their shoes in the morning, you are leading them. If you're influencing your coworkers to a decision, if you're influencing your friends to go out, if you're influencing your family members to pick a particular person's house for Thanksgiving dinner, however you're doing it, whether you're texting or you're speaking or you're writing, however you are influencing someone else, that is leadership. Now, you can influence with malicious intent, and we call that manipulation, or you can influence with integrity, and that's what we call leadership. And so that's the definition that Shyla and I definitely center around.
Okay, so you both work together, and you have a team as well. But so many people say, I mean, it's not easy to work with a team or to work with a partner. It's even maybe more complicated to work with family or family member. How do you work together? How do you influence maybe together? So, and is it more difficult to work with family member than with some other stranger?
Well, first of all, we'll call some of that limiting BS. That's belief systems there, right? There's a belief system in society right now that says, right, like don't work with family, or
yes,
partnering with others is hard. But let's remember that the most of human history is people partnering together, is family business, is people working together. And we can tell you from a successful partnership that it's amazing having a partner, like someone who can step in for you, someone you can bounce ideas off of, someone you can rely on, someone you can commiserate with. Now, all of those things to say, if you are already in a dysfunctional family, that is not an opportunity to partner together, right? If you don't already have a healthy relationship and a healthy communication style, then that's going to be a recipe that's really difficult. Same with a partner. Now, if we're selecting a partner that is not a family member, you don't have as much history on them as you do with the family member. And we have to remember that as time goes on and familiarity grows, that we're going to see other portions of that. So what we can encourage you, no matter whether it's a sibling, a family member, or an unknown, maybe it's another person in your industry, is that find partnerships where you have complementary skills sets. So if someone is exactly like you and you're both big idea people and you're visionary and you want to talk in front of the camera and now we're partnered to build this business, like who's going to do the detail stuff? Who's going to book the things? Who's going to fill out the spreadsheet? Like, are you guys just, you love each other, you like each other a lot, and you vibe together? That's not always necessarily a good partnership. We would also tell you that to go into collaboration with someone before you commit to full partnership. Do a project together. Do a launch together. Do a something together. We just recently signed one that's through the end of the year. We're going to try something through the end of the year, a little partnership with somebody, right? So what can you do that's not now we're in business together forever, but that tests the waters a little bit? We like to say proof of concept, right? Proof of concept with someone, get to know them. But we would say that working together with family, while of course there are challenges and difficulties, who doesn't have challenges and difficulties at work or with their coworkers or within their businesses? And so why wouldn't you do that with someone that you love, that you have an established relationship with, and that there's those connections with? So there's a few thoughts. Kay, I know you have a few more.
I do. I mean, I just want to say amen to all of that for sure. But I think there are two things in family business particularly, and really any leadership communication. But number one, you almost have to seek the tough conversations. Like you can't shy away. If you've got beef or you got something you gotta say it, right? And that's not just true for family business. That's also true in our executive leadership and in executive leadership circles as well. Like or in a co-working situation, if something's going on with someone else and you've got something that you need to clear the air with, then say it, right? Have these difficult conversations. Don't shy away from them, because ultimately iron sharpens iron. Now, when you're in a family business environment, that's hard because you don't want to hurt people's feelings. We all love each other. And so you sometimes in the effort to protect someone else, we don't end up sharing feedback with them. And that can be something that can be detrimental to the business side of the relationship. And so remembering that has to come first. And then always setting aside a time to actually connect as family members. And Shyla and I have struggled with this. We've leaned into it, leaned out of it in the past. We've come to a really nice rhythm where we spend both time as business people and as family members. Now, of course, when you're as the family members, you're going to blend business in, you're going to talk to it. But like Shyla and I run a half marathon together every year that we're able to do so. When Shyla and I are able to go out on little date nights with our men together, and we go be silly and we talk about books and we go to sister lunches, and we go to the office and we work together across the desk, and we have partner meetings and discussions where we're together and there's an official and formal agenda. And so finding time to really make space for both relationships, because if you meld it all into one, you'll lose both. And so really understanding that there's the business relationship and then there's the personal relationship, and both of those kind of have their own qualities.
Mm-hmm. So Arisha said she was discussing that with her brother this weekend. So, and I know that so many people would like to start a business, but they are afraid to start it alone. And then they really have the impression that if they want to be an entrepreneur, they are going to have to do that alone or to really start alone. And I always say, well, you can find someone, but what I love in your idea as well is to like really test it. So test it with partnership. So start a project together, and then you will see if it's the right person. Usually we think a little bit like binary, like 1 or 0, like everything or nothing. But like testing for a time of a specific project, I really love that. I know that you both are into personal development. So what do you do, both of you, to continue to grow and to develop yourself? So what are your strategies right now, ladies?
Fun. Well, we're lucky enough to get to be in the business of personal growth and development, partnered with one of the best in the world, Dr. Joseph McClendon III, through the Neuroencoding Institute. So lots of what we get to do in our lives is already centered around this content, which is amazing for us. Now, if you don't have that privilege like we do, we would suggest adding one thing that I still do to this day, at least once a week, is watch some kind of motivational mix on YouTube, listen to a motivational audio. If you're going to listen to or read fiction books, start putting a nonfiction book on the in-between for those so that you can get those in. That's about the rhythm that Kay and I go. Actually, we probably do more nonfiction than fiction, but finding ways to strengthen that muscle. Everything in our lives is use it or lose it. So if we don't use a strong mental system and stand guard at the gates of our mind, then the weeds will come in and that will deteriorate. And so we listen to content, we read content, we talk about the content a lot, and we get inspired. We'll kind of text back and forth. Oh my gosh, I just heard this quote, and ooh, let's kind of rock talk on this one and bring it forward to a teaching point. So one of the ways that we not only consume content, but then we love to also, as much as we can, try to help teach it and share it with others.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Crystal.
But I thought about the teaching and sharing. So how much does that bring to you?
Gosh, it brings us so much joy to do teaching and sharing, to be able to give the gift of personal growth and development to others. And, not just personal growth. Shyla and I are very much passionate around a very specific type of personal growth that is known as character development. And we really lean into developing not just what we do or the effectiveness of our calendars or schedules or our processes, but really doing the best to be the best at who we are and to develop that who as much as we possibly can in those times. Now, Shai said, listen to personal growth and development, find the motivational thing. Sometimes it can be hard, especially as women, especially as moms, as partners, to find the time to do that kind of stuff. So some of the times that you'll find Shyla and I listen, in fact, Shai, I took a page out of your book this morning. I was on the treadmill this morning and I popped in a motivational video just because, motivation is like hygiene. It only works if you do it regularly. And so it's one of those things like brushing your teeth. You've got to be continuously motivating yourself. And bonus points if you do your motivation while your body is in particularly a cardiovascularly active state. So if you're on a walk and you're huffing and puffing and you start to feel that in-breath and that out-breath, motivate. That's a great time to get motivated because you embed it deeper into your system if you do it while your body is active. Now, one of the best ways to get personal growth and development in is in a non-active state, actually, which is in the car. If you're in the car or you have a commute or you have a walk or you're taking the train or you're on the bus, however you are, if you're traveling, use that as the opportunity to put something in your ear and allow someone else to pour into your life. I've personally had this practice of books in the car since 2018, and I have now read about 500 books over the last 7 years, 500 books. And it's been amazing to see what that's been able to do and how that's accelerated my own personal learning. So would highly recommend, find it when you're exercising, do it in the car. While you're doing laundry can be a great way to just put it
Laundry, I definitely do that. So I take my telephone with me and I love, now I have 3 children. So 3 boys, they do a lot of sport and so on. So I have a ton of laundry to do, and then now I enjoy doing it because I take my telephone with me, so my phone with me, and then I listen to a podcast, and then I make it even slower just to enjoy the podcast. And or by cooking, for sure. That would be another way. Okay, so you have met so many amazing people like Michelle Obama or like Bruce Lipton, Dr. Bruce Lipton, and so others. So what is maybe the one common point that you could figure out from these people that you met, or all the people? I just put 2 together, but you have met so many. So what is the one thing that you say, okay, I believe that is the one thing that I take from all these people?
The one thing that comes to mind for me is a look back on all the exceptional people that we've interacted with, is that they're not that exceptional. Like, they are humans who face failure, who have self-doubt, who aren't sure. Like, The most accomplished people in the world get off stage and ask if they did okay. The most well-spoken people ask for confirmation about if their words were good enough. Like the best people in the world have the same things that you have. They're not different than you. And so like that's the big thing is I think we look at folks like that and there's a tendency to think, but my struggle, but my situation is different. And while it's unique, there's nothing that's new in the human existence spectrum, right? Whatever you're experiencing, whatever hardships, whatever challenges, it's the humans have been here before. And so when we think about all these exceptional people, they've been through some hard stuff. They've all faced challenges they weren't expecting, backstabbing, people cheating them out of stuff, hurting them, betraying them. Like if any of those themes are in your past, you're in good company, because every successful person we've ever met also stands on the edge sometimes and goes, what is it for? I'm just trying to make a difference. Everything's against me. And so when you feel those moments, no, you're not alone. It's actually a sign you're on the path to success, and keep it up. So I would say they're all exceptionally unexceptional.
He's right. They're regular old people, just like you and me. But one very practical common trait that Shiloh and I actually noticed in the folks that we kept meeting over and over, and we met, we came to this conclusion in 2019. So we, had started to really hang around successful people, and we were like, wow, none of these successful people drink alcohol. None of them engage in alcohol. They don't drink wine. When we ask them about if that's a habit in their life, they don't do it. Now, at the time, Shiloh and I enjoyed our morning mimosas, and we would love to, on the weekends, enjoy some wine and those sorts of things. And we decided that, hey, look, if every really successful person that we continue to meet does not engage in alcohol, and we started to see in our society that there's this glorification of spirits and of alcohol, we ditched it. So in 2019 was our New Year's Eve 2018 was our final sip of alcohol, our champagne that we had that evening, and we have not had any since, as we emulate the most successful people that we've met.
Okay, so the lesson is that successful people are normal people that have like this consistency and going through things and just continuing and trying to have the right habits, like not drinking alcohol, staying healthy, and trying to do the right things, right? So just like trying their best and consistently. And that's it.
Drinking their water, doing their best,
yes,
working their processes.
We come back to that. We have a comment, and I would love to ask your point of view about that. So it's Arisha saying, I love using the app Headspace. You get summaries of interesting chapters from some nice books. I read as well a lot of books, a lot of personal books, and I like to read the complete book because sometimes there is sentences that come again and again and again and again. And there is some books that I have read, I don't know how many times, and every time I understand differently, or it's deeper. So I am not really a fan of these summaries, because I believe that the substance is sometimes in the time we spend with it, with the length, and just taking the time for our brain to understand and digest everything. What do you think about that? Because indeed, so many people have like this consumption of books, and maybe it's just a brain type. I am like slow. I need to digest the things. What do you think about that?
Shiloh and I love to say that anything will work. Like literally anything will work if you work it. And so if you're the type of person that Headspace 3 times a day, instead of going on Instagram, you go on Headspace and you read a couple of small synopses, and that keeps you out of the news, and that keeps you out of the things, and that's your way of gaining growth and development, then we say, hell yeah, that's great. Go get more of that, right? And whatever you can do to protect more of that space for you. And now, while I personally, Christelle, agree with you in that I like to have an author take me through their journey. They have an intention for how this teaching is supposed to get laid out. Yeah, sometimes it's repetitive and can take a long time, but I like to know the person as I'm getting to know their material. But that's just a personal preference. And I'm willing to I just downloaded, oh my God, I'm a quarter of the way through it, but I just downloaded all of Friedrich Nietzsche's collection, a 100-hour collection. And so I'm just piecing it through. I want to have it done by the end of the year. I'm listening to it in between, listening to other things that I have going on, but I'm getting to know the guy, right? I'm like, by the end of this year, me and Nietzsche are going to be like, I don't know that dude. But I like that level of intimacy with my authors. And so whatever works, right? It will work. Anything's going to work in regards to getting you growth and development if you're consistently working that path.
Yeah, well said. And I would agree. I mean, I think optimally we read the whole book, but something's better than nothing. And so if Headspace is working and grabbing a little synopsis and that boosts you for the day, like it might not be imprinting into your neurosystem that exact, writing and teaching, but it's helping, right? It's drops in the bucket. And so it would always encourage more of that activity versus less. And when you can in a whole book, do that. Yeah, there is so much tendency to like next. Like go back, maybe the one tip you can hear on this broadcast right now is like, go find a book that hit you really good, like 5 years ago, and read it again. You will be shocked at how much you forgot. You will be impressed with how much you've implemented, and you will see that you will receive it at a new level of awareness. Like things that didn't jump out will jump out, and things that you need to imprint this time will imprint this time. And so we would encourage you, go find one of those books that you're like, I know that book really impacted me, but I can't tell you the top 3 points out of it. Like go back and read that. One that Kay and I read almost every year is The Untethered Soul by Michael Singer. That is a book for us that it's like spiritual salve, right? It just feels good. It helps you center, right? It's a great teaching about how to kind of not battle the voice in your mind, but become a co-conspirator with it. And that's something I think a lot of people struggle with, is their internal narrator 24/7 being negative, being frustrated, being mad at them, being punitive towards them. And so getting a handle on your identity around that can be really helpful. So that's a book we read over and over. Would encourage all of you listening, go find a book that is in your past that impacted you, and give it a reread and see how it can impact you differently.
I like as well what you said is not to fight against the voices, the like negative voices we have in our mind, but just to co-create or to start a discussion, and then to maybe influence, like to be a leader of our own of our own thoughts in order to eventually change it, but not like a frontal battle, but more like a subtle way of moving together. I really like that. We are at the end of our hour together, and I really would like to thank you for being with me today, because I know you are busy. I know you have so many people to influence and to talk to and so on. And you said yes to my invitation 5 months ago. So thank you very much for that. I really appreciate it. One last thought you would like to share to people for this week. We have Monday. Today it's a holiday day, so I think that's why people are still outside and drinking wine and so on, but celebrating with the families. One sentence you would like to give to people for this week, just for this week. So what should it be?
Go ahead, Shai. I'm on one sentence. It's tough.
Oh my gosh, fun. Well, we love just being able to encourage you to come alongside you and share some stories to hopefully give you a little bit of that sister love, some reminders of things we know that you already know. Anything that you learn is necessarily new, but hearing it in new ways can help you and reiterate for you. From a brain science perspective, we learn in 2 ways: from a significant emotional event, something that happens maybe once or twice and boom, you know it, right? You touch a hot stove, you never touch it again. That's a significant emotional event. The other way that we learn is through spaced repetition of time, repetition, right? So repetition is that mother of skill. It's that consistency compounding. It's that what you do daily, like assassinate all of the complexity. If you can just design your perfect day and how you as a human operates in that 24 hours, just focus on that and do that over and over again. And what you do daily becomes who you are. As Kay mentioned, your character development and who you create and how you end up being is what you do on that daily basis. It's what the ancients have been telling you. It's not revolutionary, but it is helpful to be reminded of that and to know, like, we all got it tough out here, man. Like, everybody is just like, no one's perfect. Even the people who are encouraging you on a broadcast are living their sloppy, scrappy human lives in the trenches of challenges and just reality, because that's the beauty of what life is. And so doing our best to remember that, to embrace it, and to know that you're never alone and that you've got some sisters in your corner encouraging you every step of the way.
Yes, these sisters might not know you personally, but we see you. And for the, we're so grateful, Christelle, you put us in front of at least mostly a female audience. And so from a couple of sisters to our sisters, you are an incredible human being. You are so worthy of being seen and of expressing yourself and of being everything that you have the ability to be. And while Shyla and I may not be able to be right next to you or with you in person, if you want to follow us along on Instagram, we would invite you to do that. We would love to be a place of belonging for you and a place of love and encouragement. We believe that we get put in front of people for a reason, and that especially when it comes to our fellow ladies, that we genuinely now want to welcome you to our family as your sisters, Kay and Shi. So thank you, Christelle, our other sister here, our A Factor sister, for having us and for giving us the opportunity to share some love and light this morning.
So thank you very much. I'm going to put the link of your Instagram so that people can go directly there. And I follow you already anyway. And then definitely, if there is any comments below, so we will answer them. And again, I thank you. I know you start your day. For me, it's the end of the day mostly. So I wish you both a very nice day. For everyone, I wish you a very nice week, and see you soon. Bye.